thank you all for being here this afternoon, for being part of this great movement. I appreciate that warm welcome. I want to begin by reminding everybody how it is we got to the point that was just discussed by Tony here on this platform a few moments ago. 10 years and 5 months ago, radical Islamic terrorists struck our nation, killing over 3,000 Americans. It was worse than Pearl Harbor. Since that terrible September day, more than 2.3 million of our countrymen have volunteered to serve in our military. Every single person in our armed forces today either came or stayed knowing they were going to go to war. Today we're here to pay tribute to those who protect and defend our way of life and celebrate that which our enemies seek to destroy, our nation's freedom. The men and women of our armed forces have a unique and difficult and certainly dangerous task that frequently puts them in harm's way. The classical definition of a hero isn't someone wearing a spandex suit and a cape. It's not the person who catches the pass in the end zone. It is a person who puts themselves at risk for the benefit of others. I have the best job in all television. I know Hannity thinks he does, but I do. My only beat for Fox News is soldiers, sailors, airmen, guardsmen, and Marines. I get to keep company with America's heroes. It was my privilege to serve with heroes in Vietnam, and I've never forgotten how those heroes were treated when they came home. What happened to those who served in Vietnam should never, ever happen again in America. In 2001, Fox News began sending me to document this new generation of warriors. Our War Stories cameras have now accompanied them in the shadows of the Hindu Kush, in the Philippines, the Persian Gulf, and along the banks of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in Mesopotamia. What you're seeing on the screen are a few of the thousands of hours of footage that we have shot while spending time with these remarkable Americans who are at war. It is not a contingency operation. All of the young Americans you see on the screen are volunteers. All of them are high school graduates at minimum. The average age is 20 and a half, and the average education is 13 and a half years. It makes them the brightest, best educated, trained, led, and equipped military that the world has ever known. They can use their weapons like they're part of their bodies. They can use their bodies as weapons. They can take a life or save one with it because they are so remarkably well trained. Now the youngster who once wouldn't share a candy bar with his little brother will now give away his last drop of water to a wounded comrade, give his only ration to a hungry Afghan kid, and split his ammo with a mate in a firefight because he knows that will keep them alive. They have become the protectors of Muslim men and women, and certainly children, in a society that revered nothing of life. Most of them have spent 3 of the last 10 years deployed to some of the most remote and rugged and dangerous places on earth. The shots you see of them kneeling in prayer aren't staged. There's nothing made up about it. They know they're not going out on a football field. They're going into mortal combat against an enemy who intends to die in the process. And they are indeed remarkable Americans. This frame right here is taken from a shot I made on April 6, 2003, while I was embedded with the 5th Marine Regiment. In the middle of the screen, you see a United States Navy corpsman. That's corpsman, not corpsman. That Navy corpsman had rushed into the beaten zone between the Republican Guards unit and the Marine Rifle Company with which I was embedded, and he started pulling wounded fighters off the battlefield. The third one he pulled off is the one you see in this frame taken from my camera. He brings him off the battlefield. He puts battle dressings on him. He's grievously wounded, puts him over his back and carries him to the helicopter. And I'm now on the ramp of the helicopter. And off the screen to the right-hand side, as you look at the screen, I couldn't see it at the time, is another nation's news crew that set up their camera. And they've documented him carrying these wounded fighters off the field. As the helicopter takes off and the corpsman rushes back into the gunfight, the reporters from the other side and that other camera shouted out to him, "Hey, mate, what did you do that for? Didn't you notice that's an Iraqi?" If you look carefully at that photograph, you can see that the wounded fighter isn't an American Marine. It's an Iraqi Republican Guardsman. This corpsman has risked his own life to save the life of an enemy soldier. The corpsman does what he can only do in those kinds of circumstances. He gave a gesture to the Reuters news crew. You know, this is polite company. You're not supposed to get that part. He gave the gesture to the other news crew and he shouted back to them, "Didn't you notice he was wounded? That's what we do. We're Americans." 21 years ago, during Gulf War I, Lieutenant General Ed Bronars and I co-founded an organization called Freedom Alliance. Its purpose is to provide tangible support to those who serve our country in uniform. In other words, those American heroes. Today, as we gather here for CPAC, there are 83,000 American troops in Afghanistan, tens of thousands more in the Middle East, the Persian Gulf, the Indian Ocean, and on lonely outposts from the Balkans to the Korean Peninsula. Thousands of them will receive all year round gifts from home and care packages from Freedom Alliance throughout the year. Freedom Alliance is helping hurting heroes at military bases and hospitals with emergency financial assistance and by hosting events like our Hero Hunts and Hero Holidays for their families. And we're there to help when a soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine is killed or permanently disabled in the line of duty. The children of these American heroes face serious challenges, and so we created the Freedom Alliance Scholarship Fund to help the children of these heroes get a college education and to remind everybody who knows them that that parent who died or was disabled in the service of our country is indeed an American hero. Those are the kinds of things that we do, and thanks to the generosity of the American people, Freedom Alliance now has awarded over 5 million scholarships and has over 240 on scholarship at this very minute, some of whom are right here in this audience today.